Today we're going to talk about a nonprofit in St. Louis called Central Print. Central Print is dedicated to preserving and promoting the art of printmaking. They have all kinds of printmaking here. They have traditional typesetting, they have woodcut, intaglio, screen printing, paper making, book making, all kinds of printing here. It's also an event space and holds workshops and demonstrations and different printmaking events throughout the year. So it's a really cool place. If you want to learn more about printmaking, this is the place to go. So the first thing we're going to talk about is typesetting, traditional type. So all of these drawers that you see, they're called cases, and they hold type. Type are individual letters that you could set one at a time next to each other and print them. Some of the oldest type that you'll see is going to be wood type, and it used to be hand carved, and then that gave way to type that was carved by a machine. Now you have CNC and laser cut type. All of these letters are exactly the same height. They're type high, which is 0.918 inches. So as long as everything is exactly the same height, you can run it under a press and it will all print evenly. So that goes for type, woodcuts, anything. Sometimes you'll see images that are made on plastics or photo exposed. There's all kinds of type, even new innovations in type being made. A lot of the type that they have here at Central Print was donated over the years, and some of it's more than 100 years old. And so it's been printed and printed and printed, and you get this nice quality to it that it starts to polish the surface, and the oils from the ink soak into the wood, and they really have a nice patina on them. They themselves are beautiful, but they are also functional. This wood type eventually would give way to metal type, and all of this type is backwards because it's a stamp. So it needs to be backwards, which is where you have to be really careful. Here you can see the P's and the Q's. They're backwards. So the P's are the Q's and the Q's are the P's. That's where the term mind your P's and Q's comes from. So this is a machine that's made to cast metal type. You have a little brass mold here. So you would have a variety of these molds that you could set into a frame. And then slide it into the machine. This machine would have a pot of liquid metal. It's mostly lead, but it would also have aluminum, tin, and some other metals that are in there. So when you've been handling this type, it's good not to lick your fingers and stuff because it is lead. But what this machine would do is cast a line of type. So this is a line of type. Instead of individual letters, you have the whole line all cast together. Once you had all your letters, you would put them into a lockup like this. All of those pieces of wood, they're shorter so that they won't print. They're called furniture. They were called furniture long before your table or your chair was called furniture. And those are just there as spacing material. And this press here has 3 ink rollers that really distribute the ink evenly once it gets going. It's a really cool press to watch in operation. There's something really just beautiful about this type, and something real about it, that you can hold it in your hand that is different than a modern printer. Here the director of Central Print, Marie, is putting ink onto a tool called a brayer that she will then roll onto a woodcut. Woodcut is hand-carved block of wood. Again, it's exactly type high so that it'll print, and once she gets it evenly, she'll put a piece of paper on top of that. She's making a greeting card here. And she'll roll the press roller over it. Now this applies thousands of pounds of pressure, and it gives you a really nice, even print. That print then will go onto a rack where it will dry before it is sent out or used for anything. So Central Print has a lot of presses. Most of them are donated, and most of them are functional or will be functional. They're working on them. Some of them are a lot more automated, have a big flywheel that you turn, and it will print hundreds of print a minute. Some are hand operated that have a big wheel that you turn and you just do one print at a time. And they're made for different kinds of printing. And there are blocks for all kinds of things. A lot of these are from businesses in the 1800s. There's just a really beautiful elegance to it. And now they're used more as an art form than as an industry, that you can kind of use these to make posters and to make different images, which you'll see a lot of at Central Print. This next machine we're going to talk about is called an Intratype. Its precursor was called the Linotype. They kind of were developed at the same time. And it was invented by a clockmaker. And as you can see, it's really complicated. This is a big machine. This was made to cast lines of type very quickly. You can see it kind of looks like a typewriter. There's a photo of a bunch of men operating a series of these machines. These would be made to make and print books quickly, because you can make entire lines of type. It would have a big cartridge on the top that has little brass mats that come out that are like little molds that it would then inject lead into to create a line of type that could be locked up. And these lockups, if you're using individual letters, they take a lot of time to put all of these letters together, and here they're held together with a piece of string. If you drop one of these on the ground, type is going to go everywhere and make a big mess. But there's really something beautiful about printing with these. And there's all kinds of type that you can find. This is one that used to belong to a newspaper. I believe it was the Post-Dispatch in St. Louis that was salvaged when they were throwing it away. I can't really show you everything that they do at Central Print, but once you are able to, as soon as you are able to, I really strongly encourage you to just go check it out and see what they're all about.